What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Trucker 219. So today we are talking about truck leasing and what it is and the pros and cons of it, and I'll give you my opinion of what I think about truck leasing and the dangers that I find with it. All right, let's go. So what is a lease purchase program within the trucking community? So a lease purchase in trucking is a financial arrangement between a truck driver and a carrier or another leasing agency. And this is where a truck driver will sign a lease for a semi-truck, agreeing to make payments over a period of time, with the goal at the end of the lease to get a balloon payment or a larger payment in order to buy the truck off of them. And effectively, a lease purchase is just renting the truck until you have it completely paid off. Normally between 3 to 6 years is the time frame in which you have to pay off the truck. It's often marketed as a path to truck ownership for those who might not have the best credit or enough equity up front to put into the truck to buy the truck outright. How does this work? A truck driver enters a lease purchase contract with a trucking company or a third-party leasing company. The contract will specify the lease payments, the duration, and the terms of purchasing the truck. The driver will make regular or weekly or monthly payments that will typically go towards both leasing and building up the equity of the truck towards ownership. Payments may include maintenance, insurance, and other costs depending on the contract. Now, a misnomer is that this is an owner-operator. I disagree. Even people that actually own their own trucks might not actually be an owner-operator. So a person who's a true owner-operator to me has a semi-truck, a trailer, has an authority that they run under, they have a company, they have a DOT number, all of the stuff that makes a trucking company, and they own all of it and they run their trucks, meaning they are their own dispatch, they find their own loads, and they negotiate their own rates. Now, in a lease purchase program, you're almost always bound to the company that you sign on with, whether that be a JB Hunt, a Swift, Schneider, any of those big names that do truck lease purchase programs. They are the ones that you pay your money to. Now, at the end of the lease, you either A, have the option to upgrade to a newer truck. Typically, a lease will last between 3 and 6 years, or buy the truck for a predetermined amount, which could be a balloon payment or a lump sum or a smaller residual balance. With a lease purchase, it gives you some sort of path to ownership without a large down payment or an upfront cost. So when you get into a truck with a low upfront cost, or anytime you're financing anything that has a low upfront cost, as a general rule, it ends up being more expensive to purchase in the long run. Another drawback to doing a lease purchase is that a lot of times you are responsible for the maintenance, any repairs that need to be done, any tolls, any fuel cost of the truck. That's all your responsibility on top of making your lease payments. So with all this money going out to the lease, to maintenance, to fuel, to all the expenses that are associated with the truck, that last balloon payment to be able to actually purchase the truck and finish out the lease tends to be a challenge for a lot of drivers. These are the last two reasons why I think it's a negative to have a lease purchase, and why personally I will never do a lease purchase. Number one, there is a huge risk of losing the truck. If maintenance costs get too high or you have a major breakdown that you cannot afford, you will end up losing the truck and it goes right back to the company. And this is a big reason why large companies like to do this, because these things happen in trucking and a lot of people are not prepared for it, especially those that don't have enough to do an upfront down payment. And they understand that these type of people that are willing to take the risk on a lease purchase in hopes that something doesn't break down for the cheaper upfront cost are going to end up failing. And if you don't make all your payments on your lease, the lease automatically goes back to the company. They can release that truck out to another person or sell the truck, and you've already done paid for the loss of equity in that truck. They aren't out any money. And finally, the last thing and the biggest reason why I will not ever do a lease purchase program is because of the lack of freedom. Anytime you sign a lease purchase contract, you're most likely going to have to be bound to that company and only run their loads. That means if you are on load boards or anything like that, owning your own company, you won't be able to use that truck to run those loads. So what does that mean? That means if the dispatch is not doing you right, or if there's an issue with the company that you see morally a problem with, if they're trying to force you to run the truck and you don't have the hours to do it, they can end up firing you over it and take their truck back. And there's really nothing you can do about it. You can't say, okay, well, it's not a problem, I'm just going to go over here to this other company. They own you. They have you by the balls. And here's another thing to consider if you're looking into doing a lease purchase. is being bound to a company financially. Now, it's one thing to have two separate entities. You have your carrier that your truck is leased onto, and then your financing company that you owe your money to. But if a company that you owe money to also controls how much money you make, this can lead to some very shady stuff going on. And I've seen it a couple of times amongst other drivers where they get really close to being able to purchase their truck back, and the loads start slowing down, the rates start slowing down, they come down to where they're in debt or they can't afford to make those payments. Well, what did we talk about? When you can't afford to make those payments, guess who gets the truck back? The carrier. So there's a huge benefit for the carrier to make sure that you don't finish that lease. And that's why there has been a department of the FMCSA that has petitioned Congress in order to ban these programs. This is a big deal, and a lot of drivers are really suffering because they think that it's an easy way to get into trucking without too much upfront cost. It seems really quick. You got a brand new fancy shiny truck that you can jump into, and it's going to be your truck in 6 years. And up front it sounds easy, but nobody ever talks about the risk, and people are doing this over and over and over again. And there are several lawsuits currently pending against major carriers that are doing this. Some of these companies include CRST, Western Express, Swift, Penske, and Super Ego. Is it possible for a lease purchase company to be a good idea for some drivers? I'm sure that there is some that are safe and are a good idea, and it's okay to do these. I haven't found any personally. I just think it's a terrible idea to do a lease purchase program. Number one, for the financial costs that are additional for doing the easy route, as well as the idea that the person that controls how much money you make is the person that you owe money to and can control whether or not you can make those payments and lose out on your truck and your dreams and your goals. If you're wanting to get into the trucking industry and own your own truck, there's multiple ways to do it. I just don't think lease purchase is the best. There's another great option just for getting started that will do you very well, and that is by purchasing a truck through a dealer or through another financial institution and leasing that truck on with another carrier. And at any time you can say, hey, I don't like the way you guys are operating things, I'm going to go over here to this other carrier. And it's perfectly acceptable to do that, and they're not going to hold your truck or you captive. And the other way is full out becoming an owner operator. And I understand this is a huge upfront cost, with trucks ranging from $34,000 all the way up to $200,000 just to purchase the truck. Not to mention your insurance, your IFTA, your DOT, and all the other maintenance and fuel issues that come with owning your own truck. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money, and to have that upfront capital is a rare thing to do. And I understand that and I get that. But hands down, the best way to do it is going all out and doing it yourself. That means owning your own truck, owning your own trailer, owning your own authority to run under, having your own insurance, finding your own loads, dispatching yourself, and negotiating your own rates. This way, you know exactly how much you're making. You know that nobody is skimming anything off the top, except for brokers. But that's another video. If you've ever done a lease purchase and it's worked out, I'd love to hear your story too, or any other opinions that you have about this. I've recently launched a Discord server for Trucker 219 and Trucker 219 friends. I'm in there from time to time, and you can chat with me as well as other members of the community. I'll leave a link for that down below. At the end of the day, your life decisions are up to you. I just ask that you guys be wise about the decisions that you're making, do the research ahead of time to make sure it's a good fit for you, and use your minds to think about the potential ramifications of doing it a specific way. I understand that this industry is a very expensive industry to get in, and a lot of people fail, but the only way to combat failure is knowledge. And with knowledge and a little bit of luck, I think you guys can make it too. But that's going to be it for this video. I thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. Stick around and check out some of my other videos. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right? Bye.